Cooper.
Show and tell. All right, say hello.
Oh, he's got to say hello. He meets and greets very well.
All right.
Hi, Cooper.
The American Kennel Club
Hi, Cooper.
offers the Canine Good Citizen Test. And what this is, it's an award for people that work with their dogs and for dogs that have nice manners, nice, polite manners. They've changed it a little bit. It used to be that you just got an award if that's all you wanted. You pass the test, you send them $8 with this form, and they send you an award. Well, in January this year, it started where you can get a title on your dog if you're interested in that. So if you want, you can still just do the award for $8, or you can send them $20 after you pass. You know, money is always there.
They gotta make money.
Exactly. But then they'll send you a title on your dog, so your dog will be titled with Canine Good Citizen.
CGC after their name.
I'm not sure exactly how it's done, but if you can get on their website and they'll show it to you. But for you folks that show your dogs, that might be important to you. You might be more interested in having a title rather than just an award. To get a title, your dog has to be registered with AKC first, which I'm sure probably most of your dogs are. There's one thing I wanted to mention for you folks with the 8-week-old puppy. In our basic classes, if I know that your dog is going to be a show dog, or you might be headed that direction, we don't teach the dog the auto sit. And the auto sit means when you're walking and you stop, the dog just automatically sits next to you. And of course in the show ring, that's a big no-no. So what we do is teach them the auto stand. So when you stop, we teach the dog to stand and keep still.
And smile.
And smile.
Smile. Don't you smile.
Now,
But you need to tell them that. Right.
oh yeah, I need to know up front, of course. All right, Cooper, come on over here.
This is too good.
Cooper, bed.
I like good smells.
Right here. Bed. Good boy. Okay. The Canine Good Citizen, it's all about self-control, working with manners, and there are just a lot of things you can do with your dog to work on self-control. What we're doing right now is called the settle command, and the settle command teaches a dog, go to a place, be calm. And if your dog can do that around a group of people, that's pretty good. Of course, he's 10, so he's had some practice. Not perfect, but he's doing pretty well here, I think. If you have company in your home, somebody knocks at your door or rings a doorbell, you can teach the dog that that ding-dong sound means go get on your bed or go to a place. So there's just a ton of reasons to use this. Not to go get. Yeah, exactly.
Attack them as they come through the door.
Right now I'm working with a little lab, and when you walk into their foyer, they have stairs there, and so we're teaching the dog the sound of the doorbell means go sit on the steps, not run to the door, bark, jump, and be, crazy dog. So it's all about self-control, calm type of behavior. Now when you have people come into your home, a leash is just a wonderful tool. Use it. Don't allow your dogs to get into trouble. So if you know somebody's going to come over, have a leash on your dog, and you might, take. Of course, your dog's probably going to beat you to the door when they knock or the doorbell rings. But quickly get a leash on them before you let the person in. And then if you want to invite them into your family room or whatever, hey, come on in, let's go. And so you've got your dog right with you, and the person's following you, but your dog isn't being allowed to jump on them. Because every time the dog jumps on somebody, it's just reinforcing that behavior. It's making it stronger and stronger. And so you need to do something to prevent it. You've got to break that cycle. So that's one easy thing that you
I
can do.
live in Baltimore City. I personally sometimes will ask them to go jump at the door because people back away. Because I don't want them to.
And that's interesting that you bring that up. It's not the jumping so much, but it's the barking. Some people don't want their dogs barking at the door. I don't feel that way. Our Rudy, this boy who's almost 13, he's a very reactive dog. He came that way, and he's just always going to be like that. And so I let him bark once or twice because I figured that's his job. That's important for him to do. And then I'll say, Rudy, bed. And then he'll go and he'll get on his bed. And once he's on his bed, he's not barking anymore. Or I'll ask him to sit. One thing important to keep in mind, dogs really have trouble doing two things at the same time. They just don't multitask very well. And so if he's barking, Rudy, sit. And I say his name first because I want him to be sure that, to know, hey, I'm talking to you, buddy. And as soon as I ask him to sit, and I'm not going to holler or yell at him, but I try to put a little bit of urgency into it. And as soon as he hears that, he's pretty good at it. He sits. and then all of a sudden he's watching the squirrels or whatever, and he's not barking anymore. Now it's not 100%, but it's high 90s there. Because I think he's just concentrating so much on the fact that I've asked him to do something, and he doesn't do two things at once very well. Okay. So I'm going to show you a few things, or a couple things that you can do to really help with self-control. So if you can get your dogs to go to a place, and I like to use a pad or a mat or a dog bed instead of a crate, because I want something I can move around. If we have company, I might want to take a dog bed and put it on one side of my chair and have a leash on the dog. And if I need to, I can put the loop of the leash under the chair, and then maybe the guests are sitting over here. And I have a little container of treats. And as long as the dog is doing something that I like, Cooper, bed. As long as the dog is doing something I like, then every now and then, they're going to get a little reward. Okay, that was good. Now, I'm not going to reward him right now, because in dog training, we have the 1 second rule. And the 1 second rule says you want to reward or punish a behavior within a second if you can. I took too long to reward him. We're people, we don't move quite that fast. So you might take 3 or 4 seconds, but if it's much longer than that, the dog's not going to know. They live for the moment. And if you don't do it quickly, whatever you're going to do, whether it's a reward or a punishment, if it's not fast, you just might as well not do it. So I'm standing up here, I'm talking a lot. He's completely forgotten that he got off his bed and got back on it. So for me to reward him now, it has nothing to do with that. It's like, just because I want to and you're being a good boy. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to start teaching the settle command, because that's the very, very beginning of teaching a dog to be calm, to listen, self-control. All right, so I'm going to get him off his bed. Now first, you've got to teach the dog whatever it is that you're going to call the thing. You can say place, mat, rug, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call the bed. So I'm going to show him the treat. Cooper, bed. And he's going to beat me to it because he already knows what it's called. Cooper, bed. Yes. And I'm throwing the treat on the bed. Now as long as he stays there, which is what I want him to do, but I'm not going to ask him to do it, I'm just going to come back and give him a treat. It's kind of hard to work with sometimes because he already knows all this stuff. All right, so if your dog goes to the bed or the pad or whatever you're using, every time they go to it, if you can get a little treat and reward them quickly, then you're making a positive association with their bed. You're teaching them, oh man, good things happen when you get on this bed. And then after a while, they're going to start to go to it more often and more often. Okay? In the beginning, if the dog just touches the bed, they're going to get a treat. But after a while, that's not good enough anymore. Then they have to sit on it to get a treat. After a while, that's not good enough. They have to go down. So Cooper's got to the point, of course, where he knows that he needs to be in a down to get that treat.
What about the basic thing of that they can't even get on a pad simply because they will rip it to shreds. We've tried it.
It's a chew toy.
Stuffing in the fabric all over the place.
You can use anything that would designate a spot. It could be like
rubber
a
mat.
rug,
Yeah.
Bath
small
mat.
rug, just like a bathroom rug. But no,
Chew
if your
nail.
dog is going to chew it, watch him. And remember, they can't do two things at the same time. So he starts to chew, and then you might teach him the off command. Or say his name, get him to look at you, reward him. Or give him something to do while he's on that bed besides chew. Okay? So if you want your dog to stay on their place for any length of time, like you're going to have a guest, or you want them just to relax for a little bit, first thing you got to do is get some long tongues. Get your dogs tired. Take them outside with a tennis racket and some balls. Whack those balls all over the place. They don't have to bring them back. They just have to run, and you want to see some long tongues. You want to know that these guys are tired. And then when you ask them to stay, then chances are they're going to do it a little bit better. And the other thing is give them something to do. Everybody probably knows what a Kong is. The black Kongs are the toughest ones, which I'm sure you know that too. And we make a mixture of peanut butter and dog food, or sometimes Greek yogurt and dog food. Put it in the Kong, put it in the freezer. And so when you give it to your dog, he's going to have to work a little bit harder to get it out. Okay, so this is called the settle command, and this is the very first thing that we teach in our basic classes. Well, in all classes pretty much, if the dogs don't know it, because it can just come in handy so many times. It's nice to have your dogs just relax. If you take your dog out to eat with you someplace, like, I don't know, Starbucks or any place where they have outdoor seating, you might take a bath towel and teach your dog, this is where you're supposed to be. This is your place to be. We haven't done it in a while since we've had 3 dogs, but my husband and I used to like to take our dogs out to eat with us when we go to the beach. And a lot of beachy type restaurants, they have outdoor seating. And I have a little rug that I roll up, and if I put that rug down, the dogs know that's where they're supposed to be. So it just makes it, they're very visual, and this just makes it really easy for them to settle someplace. So settle command is good. Let's see.
And I have a question. Like now that my dog is a year old, and some of these it sounds like having that age, is it harder to get them? I mean, she'll set or whatever, but then to start for them to learn that command, settle, and have a rug.
Well, the longer you wait, the more difficult it can be, but it doesn't mean you can't do it. Okay. The important thing is you've got to find something that's going to motivate your dog. And sometimes if we're asking our dog to do a difficult task or job, you have to reward a little bit better. It would kind of be like if you're at work and your boss says, I want you to do this research project. It's boring, but I really need to get it done. And you're thinking, oh gosh, I don't want to do this. And then the boss says, but when you finish, there's going to be a bonus in your paycheck. Oh, okay, let me get to it. All right. So we all need a little motivation sometimes, and dogs are the same way. At our house at home, we use Cheerios a lot for treats. Not sugary ones, just plain old Cheerios. Sometimes I might break a Cheerio in half. They might get a half of a Cheerio for a dog this size. He doesn't care. He's just happy he's getting something. I use
And
carrots.
if your dog is not treat motivated, you get really, really good treats, or don't feed them breakfast before you do
That'll help
lessons.
too. That'll help. Our dogs like carrots, and so I use carrots for rewards.
Oh, I would love to have a dog not motivated by food.
I've never had one, but it makes it really
Diane,
difficult to
it
train
does make
them.
it hard.
It's
It
really
does.
hard.
Really
It really
does.
does.
So if your dog isn't a food type of dog, then maybe a squeaky toy or a ball. We have our shepherd.
Which
She'd
is
much
difficult
rather.
when you're trying to get them to settle and something like that gets them wound up.
Yeah.
So you don't want it, really.
Our shepherd is more of a ball dog than a food dog. If she had a choice, she'd take a tennis ball any day over food. So you sort of need to figure out, what's going to motivate your dog. And there are all kinds of different types of treats you can try.
Well,
Sometimes-
our new rescue is motivated by cat beds. Yeah. Joy destroy that cat bed?
Oh, yeah, she did the other day when we were out. Yeah, she did. She got a hold of one of them.
She likes, I don't know, my Sam's, every single one of them, as well as my Papillon. Anything like a soft, fuzzy toy, a squeaky toy, it's gone.
Yeah,
My
but,
Papillon, you give it to her, and she immediately, the first thing she does is she tries to shred it.
Our 2 boys, our 2 labs, Cooper's one, of course, very destructive. I give them a... Yeah, I'm talking Anyway, they're very destructive. I give them a toy, and it's no time at all before it's chewed up. But I save the squeakers if you can. If you have an opportunity to do that. I don't know if I have the squeakers.
Yeah, I just saved a couple last week. Did you? Some old boys we have.
I have one on my iPhone.
So if you ever have a squeaker that's chewed up, or a toy's chewed up, try and get the squeaker out, because the squeaker can come in handy many, many times. You can work it for recall. But before I get to that, let me finish going over a few other things here.
You have to be very careful, because I had a rescue dog, Jolly, that liked to tear apart the fuzzy toys out in the yard. Didn't think anything about it until one day he was had the symptoms of bloat. So rushed him to the vet. That said, then we didn't have bloat, so we x-rayed 11 squeakies.
He didn't squeak when he moved, did he?
$600 later, he was fine. There are no more squeaky toys in my
He might not eat your iPhone, though. Yeah.
Cooper, bed.
Oh, I gotta get it.
There's that.
So you can use anything for a training, what am I trying to say? Opportunity. Anything could be a training opportunity. All right. I wanted to show you some easy things you could do at home for training. You don't have to go outside, you don't in the heat or the rain or the dark or anything, but there's just a ton of things you can do in your house. Settle command is one. I like for dogs to think. I don't want to always be telling them what to do. You know, they're really smart. And if they can figure something out themselves, chances are it's going to stick a little bit better and they're going to remember. So what I'm going to do with this bowl in a moment is I'm going to go down there and I'm going to drop a treat in it and I'm just going to stand still. And he already knows this, of course, but I'm going to wait for an SIT. And after I get that, I'm going to gradually lower the bowl to the ground. And if he gets up, which he may, I don't know. If he gets up, I'm going to pick it back up again and we'll see if he'll sit. So what I want him to start to figure out is, in order to get this treat, you've got to sit and you've got to keep still while this bowl's on the ground. So it's all about, again, self-control. Okay, you need a... Now, I'm going to use down instead of sit because that's what he does. All right, if Cooper started to move, I should have brought a dog that's not quite so well trained.
You could have brought any of ours. You don't have Sham. Well, she's too good.
All right, if he started to get up, what I would do is just pick the bowl up. And you don't have to say anything, you're not going to fuss at him, you're not going to talk to him.
Try that at our house.
What, getting the bowl back up?
Take it.
Mowed down.
All right, but this, do y'all understand what I'm trying to get across?
But you recommend we do this with their meals, right? You make them sit before they get their meal and stay.
And he does.
You have to hold dogs weight and then they
He will sit. I mean, we just bring that in here. He sits.
We get the pigs and then we get the normal eaters. And the pigs, I have a hollow plastic tube that I have to beat them off the counter. Seriously.
Okay.
How do you prevent a dog from barking before they're fed? Because my little girl barks so much. Okay, and now my boy does.
Don't feed them.
Yeah. You get the bowl. The question was, how do you prevent a dog, stop a dog from barking when you get your bowl out and you're getting ready to feed him? Get the bowl out, woof, 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 woof. Put it down, go sit down.
In our case, putting on top of the refrigerator.
And you might count down,
it ain't gonna work.
You might count to 3, or wait for the dog to be quiet, and then get up, pick up the bowl, starts to bark, just keep doing it.
So you don't use the word quiet or no bark or anything. You just.
You can if you want to.
Okay.
Won't work at our house.
We're going to try that.
Most of you have multiple dogs.
Yeah.
And so when you're training, you really need to just work with one dog at a time. And then after one dog knows something, then you can add another dog into the mix. But, you really want to just do one dog at a time.
In all honesty, Sammys are a pack breed, so there's an alpha.
Yeah.
You train the alpha and let the alpha train the rest of them.
And the others will follow.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, if you can train your older dogs, then if you just have one dog, train that dog well. So you folks just have this little puppy, right? Okay, so train your little puppy really well. Cooper, bed.
Looking for that treat.
Now you all notice I'm not repeating myself a lot. I want him to listen to me the first time I say something. So I'm not saying it over and over and over again. I might say it twice if I have to. If that doesn't work, I'm going to figure out another way to get his attention, in a nice way, of course. But you folks that just have this little puppy, if you're thinking about getting another dog sometime, you want to wait until your puppy gets a little bit older, is certainly house trained and has some manners, before you get another dog, and then your puppy will be training your other dog. It just makes life a whole lot easier. Okay. All right. So you can work on the settle command at home. You can work on having your dog sit or go in a down. Our dogs are in a down when they eat, and that's why he keeps going down. We have our 3, they just line up and they're in a down, and I just fuss
I
away.
used to have dogs like that before I married him. They would all line up. All of them would line
I
up.
can't help you with that.
Train them.
Okay.
Train the husband first.
I can't help on that. He's a table feeder.
Okay, great use for the settle command. If your dog is bothering you at the table, or if this dog is too close to our 11-month-old granddaughter is visiting now from California, sitting in a high chair. Oh my goodness, our dogs are just terrible. You know, because she keeps dropping food on the floor, of course. And so we're using the settle command. I've got a couple of beds, and they need to be in their beds while she's in her chair eating. So when you guys are having dinner, they're in their beds while Dad's
It's
eating.
interesting, he's got 8 or 9 dogs crowding him, and they totally ignore
Because you
me.
don't feed them.
Yeah, there's a reason.
Yeah, they've got it trained.
All right.
Little bit of steak is a good thing.
I want to show you something else that you can do in-house with working with this. You can help your dog learn to walk nicely inside the house. So if it's hot or you're tired, you don't really want to go out. I'm probably sounding really lazy to you folks, but
Sounds good to me.
but I think the older I get, I like to just do things at home and teach them. Of course, you want to take them outside too, of course, but you know. All right, so what I'm going to do, Cooper, stay. All right, what I'm going to do is drop a treat in the bowl. He sees that treat in there. To get that treat, he has to walk nicely. So you could do this maybe in your hallway, or if you have a good-sized room. So we're going to start to sit.
Oh, is he focused?
Good. No, just sit. Cooper, sit. You know how to sit. Good. Okay, let's walk. Ready? Let's go. Okay, he pulls. He's not going anywhere. 2 rules for walking. I'm glad he's doing this. 2 rules for walking. If you pull, you don't go. If you want to go, you got to walk next to me and be nice. Okay, let's go. Easy. Back. Back here.
Is that harness you're using for him able to correct him by getting your back?
Good, good. I'll tell you what this harness is. Did you get it out of there? All right, let's try it again. This way. Here we go. Here. Good boy. Good boy. Turn yourself around. Turn. I'm going to start in a sit. Good. If you start walking with your dog in a sit, it's sort of telling them, it's giving them a clue. It's like, hey, this is a training time. This isn't like a pull me down the street practice, or, you know, this is like, I want you to be paying attention to me. Okay, ready? Let's go. Easy, easy. Let's go. Oh my goodness, could you walk? Easy, easy. Good, nice walking. Okay, he's pulling, he's not going. When he's not pulling, he gets to go. So this is an easy thing to practice at home.
This is sort of boring.
Okay, let's talk about this harness since there was a question. For the CGC test, you can't use this harness. You have to use a regular collar and no treats. A regular collar and no treats. Cooper has his CGC. He got it a few years ago. What are you, 10? Maybe you got it 5 years ago. I don't remember. But I like these harnesses because they're very humane. Last summer, our Rudy was diagnosed with laryngeal paralysis, which means that the muscles in his neck just don't work very well sometimes. And he does fine. If he's just at home laying down, he can breathe great. If somebody knocks on the door or we bring another dog in the house, you know, all of a sudden, I just really have to take him aside and get him to calm down because he can't breathe very well. And so I'm just very aware of dogs' necks. They're very fragile. Even big dogs like yours and like my dogs, they have very, very fragile necks.
Where did you get the collar, Carol?
This harness, I can give you guys the website for it if you like it. They sell them at Vienna Pet Spa in Vienna. They also sell them in a place at Village Crossroads called Dog Paws University, and that's just because I asked both these places to Cooper, Ben. Right here.
But being a flat.
Good, good. But I'm going to show you how it works. Many harnesses that you're used to, the leash attaches here on the dog's back. All right, that's what they put on sled dogs.
Right, and they signal pull.
Yeah, that's what they put on sled dogs to teach them to pull because dogs like to feel pressure. And so when it's back here and they're pulling, they're getting pressure against their chest, and they pull more. Same reason that choke chains usually don't work well on most dogs. You know, I'm sure everybody's seen a dog hanging out at the end of a leash on a choke chain, strangling themselves, but they keep doing it. It's that pressure. I don't know why, but it's that pressure they seem to like. This harness, the leash is here on his chest. And when we walk, if you pull, if I stand still or take a little step backwards,
You can see,
or take a little step backwards, it turns him around and he comes back to me. Good
So
boy.
where's the website? What is the website then for
It's
it?
www.sof, and it's SOF, touch, TOUCH, concepts, CONCEPTS.com.
How does that work on
So
the
you-
longer haired dogs?
Fine.
I mean, doesn't like leave a collar mark on them like
You're
on
not
a
gonna,
Sammy?
well, you're not gonna leave it on.
Right.
You only
but I
put
mean,
it on
just-
for walking.
Okay.
But for a big, strong, powerful dog, there's a lot of control here. But again, for
Do
the
you
CG
walk multiples?
I don't. I don't. Our Rudy is pretty much at home. He's almost 13, and we don't really walk him very much. And Missy and Cooper, when I walk our dogs, it's more of a togetherness thing with us.
One-on-one?
Yeah.
One-on-one.
individual
And do you
thing.
ever use gentle leaders?
I do. I like to start out with a harness like this because there's no adjustment period and it's easy to put on.
Yeah, that's
You don't have to
another
pick up the dog's feet.
Oh, that is very
It's
easy.
really easy. It just goes over their heads and
Perfect.
you've got two ends here and it hooks under their tummies.
That is fantastic.
And so it's just really, really easy to do. But
And what
with
size,
some-
excuse me, what size is it like that you've got?
This is a,
It's
it's a
adjustable.
large. This is a large.
Yeah.
But they're very, very adjustable. And if you get one, I make this front strap right here as tight as it goes on both sides, and then adjust the back and the body to fit. And sometimes I've known people that will also attach the leash to the collar. Here, can you sit, please? Give her a second. Thank you. He doesn't know how to sit anymore. All right. So sometimes you can also attach both of these together. So the leash is on the harness and the collar if you need a little more security. Or once in a while I'm working with a little dog like a Papillon and they squirm around a lot. And so if the owners are afraid that the dog is going to get out of the harness, if they also attach it to the collar, then they've still got their dog if they do happen to get away.
But then isn't that pulling on his neck? Isn't that pulling on his neck when you've got it attached to his collar?
It is.
No? Oh, okay. It's hard to see that. Okay.
So anyway, but for your test, you need to practice with a regular collar. So anyway, as soon as Cooper finished and got his test, finished and passed it, I put the harness right back on, just because I like
But you
it.
could train with this too, and then basically once they know the commands, they just stay on the side, you can move to the collar.
You can,
But
you can, but it's a very humane type of tool. Who asked about the gentle leader? Oh, I didn't answer your question. So I start out with this, just because it's easy to put on and there's no adjustment. But if it doesn't work on all dogs, some dogs are just too powerful, they're just going to keep pulling anyway. And then I use the gentle leader, and that goes over the dog's face, and it clips behind the ear, and then there's a little piece that hangs down, and that's where the leash attaches to. It's not a muzzle. The dog can eat, they can bite, they can do all the doggy things, but it's just giving owners more control. So if I'm working with an owner that might not be physically able to handle the dog, or
what does it do, pull the head? Turn
just
the
a
head?
little bit.
Yeah.
Actually, it was a lady that developed this tool, and she's a horsewoman.
Yeah, it's a halter for a dog.
It is. And she could lead around her big horse, but she couldn't control her little dog. And so she made something similar, and I don't know what brand she marketed it under, but I'm sure she's made a sizable amount of money on that. But anyway, that's a very humane thing, too. I work with service dogs, canine companions for independents. And when those puppies are 8 weeks old, we put gentle leaders on them like that. And that's what they get used to, because we never know who the recipient's going to be of these dogs. So it's just a nice, kind, gentle way of working with the dogs. And after they get adjusted to it, it's just like putting a collar or a leash or anything else on them. They don't care. Okay. All right, so you can work on the settle command. You can work on like holding the bowl up above the dog's head, drop a treat in it, or their food bowl if you want to. Don't say anything. Just wait. Let them figure it out. Chances are they're going to sit. If they jump, ignore it. If they are jumping and you've got big dogs, you might put a leash on them and stand on the leash. Don't let them do that. They hold the bowl up. Sooner or later, they're going to sit. And then gradually try to put it down. Now, it's all about taking baby steps to build on success. If you're doing something that's not working, you're probably moving too quickly, making it too difficult, too fast, or maybe you're not rewarding well enough or high enough. There's different values of treats, which we already talked about. Okay, and then we talked about, you can teach a dog to walk. That's a great exercise. I love it. Because you can do it at home. You don't have to go Okay, let me show you one other thing. The focus command is a great thing. Focus means pay attention to me. So if you're out for a walk, and let's say your dog is looking at a squirrel over here or getting ready to bark at something, or you take your dog into the vet, and here comes other dogs in, and it's just like really a chaotic time. Or maybe you're out and here comes a trash truck, or just anything that your dog is uncomfortable with. So if Cooper is looking at something over here, I can put this treat in front of his nose and turn him around and get him to look at me instead. Good boy, good boy. So the hand signal for this is you point to the dog and you point to yourself. Yes, they look at you and they get a treat. But if something else is happening around the dog, that's more interesting than your finger, then chances are you're not going to get any attention. So you need to put a treat in your hand. Show him that treat, point to yourself. Yes. And I don't know if you've noticed, but when he does something I like, I say yes. And that's telling him, it's called a reward marker. It's telling him he did a great job, where he's coming. Okay, so that's one way to do focus. But the way I like to do it at home, I don't think we've done this in class yet, is I like for my dogs to know what I want. It's not reality, I know, it's not realistic, but I want them just to do what they're supposed to do and just be, just be good. So I'm going to expect him to be a mind reader. And what I'm going to do is show him my treat and put the treat over here. And he's not looking at it because he knows, yes, if he looks at me, that's when good things happen. So if that works, you can try the other side. You're still not going to look at it, are you? Okay, yes. And I'll turn him around in a moment so you guys can see what I'm doing here. We'll just turn around anyway. Let's make it a little more difficult. Instead of carrots, just three treats. So once you are successful with one side or the other, then try 2 treats. Show your dog the treat. Spread your arms out just a little bit.
That's the night.
And they get both treats.
You're good. So sweet. Oh, boy. Boy, did he.
The bloodhound coming out. Okay, now, as soon as your dog is doing something well, try to add a little challenge and keep making it more difficult and more difficult. So first we had a treat on one side, and then the other side, and then 2 treats. How can I make this harder? Any ideas? No treats. That'd be real hard. I'm going to move these treats around. So I want him to look at me with the distraction of moving treats. Okay. So I'm going to show him my treats, spread my arms out, and move them around. Yes.
And then that eye contact.
Now, when you do this at home, the instant the dog looks at you, yes, and reward. Okay, you don't expect them to look at you for a long time. Cooper, bed. Yes. Good boy. Good boy. Okay, so that's an easy thing you can do. It's happy hour. Sit there with your beverage and your bowl of Cheerios and your little dog treats, and get some training in with your dog. Okay. All right. Tell me what kind of. I don't know what time frame.
We'll probably, if you could kind of wrap up here in the next few minutes.
Okay. Tell me what kind of questions that you have.
What other things, can you be a little more specific, or should we just use the flyers about what the dogs actually have
Oh,
to
for
do
the
to
test?
pass the
Yeah, they're
CGC?
right back there.
Yeah, they're right back here, what you want to take. They're 10 test items. Often the last one is one of the more difficult things, and it's a 3-minute supervised separation.
Yeah.
Some of our dogs are kind of like Velcro dogs. They're really attached to us, and they don't like being away from us. So with this exercise, or with this thing, you give your dog to somebody, and you disappear for 3 minutes.
That's hard.
6 days.
Yeah. No, they don't have to stay.
Well, yeah, they can't go anywhere, but.
No, they don't have to stay. They don't have to sit or being in and down or any certain position, but they have to stay with this other person for 3 minutes. You can talk to them. Don't give them treats, but you can talk to them, and
Just can be howling and screaming
yeah,
and pulling
they
to
can't
try
be
to get
whining
away.
and
And all
fussing
that.
and where's mom, where's dad, and being all like that. Okay, so that's the last one.
A prayer helps.
Prayer. It's okay to talk to them. Okay, we talked about equipment, that they can't be on a training collar or a harness, or just use a regular 6-foot leash. No treats. Okay, another one is reaction to distractions. where if you take a dog into like a nursing home, a therapy dog, or something like that, a lot of different things happen in places like that, where maybe somebody might drop a tray of food, or a chair might crash on the floor. So in class, I drop a metal chair on the floor, on a linoleum floor, makes a loud noise. So reaction to distractions, it's okay for the dog to turn and look because they're going to be startled, but they just can't stand up and start barking and verbalistic, that type of thing. Okay. Actually, for dogs that are afraid of thunder and fireworks, a way you can work on that is you just get a couple of metal bowls or maybe a couple of tops to your pans, and very calmly, not loud, but just easy, bang them together, but gently, and as soon as they hear a noise, somebody gives them a treat. They hear a noise, they get a treat. They hear a noise, they get a treat. And you keep doing it, and you make it louder and louder. Now, not right in front of their face, be on the other side of the room, or, back a little bit. But that's the way to make more of a positive association to the dog with noises. So if your dog is afraid of noises, that's something that you might want to try.
Outside, Teddy, when we go outside the property, we'll turn tail and head for the house, because we need to chronically hear the range crackles on the fire.
Yeah, I imagine. Okay. All right, reaction to another dog is another one. And this is an exercise for this is when somebody with a dog, and you might have your dog, and you're walking towards each other. And your dog, it's okay for them to be curious. But
Looking for treats.
there can't be any jumping on the other dog, no butt sniffing. I mean, manners, just like they would in the ring. Okay, let's see what's going to happen.
Would you like raspberries?
I don't know if I've ever do anyone. You can try.
Mine didn't ever do.
Yeah.
He's eating blueberries and
There's cheese
cantaloupe
up
and
there.
Oh, yes.
watermelon.
Blueberries.
Okay, now he's very interested in you. Cooper, Ben.
That raspberry is good.
Yes, okay, that was good. Jackpot. 2 treats. All right, good boy, good boy. So you can take advantage of a lot of different things for training opportunities. Okay, reaction to another dog. Coming when called. This isn't as hard as you might think. The dog only has to be 10 feet away from you. You put them in a sit stay or a down stay and walk 10 feet away, turn around, and call them to you. So it's not like they have to stay for, a real long time or a distance or anything. It's a big thing when you're working on recalls at home. Only call your dog to you if the outcome is going to be something happy and fun. You never want to call your dog to you and they come and they're all excited and you put them in the bathtub. Or you stick them in a crate. Or you put medicine in their ears. Okay, don't do anything to them they're not going to like if they're coming to you. Because that's always got to be a happy, fun, positive type of thing. All right, because if you do something that they don't like, you're teaching them, coming to you is not such a
Yeah,
good
don't
thing.
make them come and then punish them because they had an accident.
Yeah, so if they've gotten into some newspapers and they're making a mess or tearing up something, you call them to get them away from the mess is in the past. Just be happy they came to you. That's hard to do sometimes. All right, a sit and a down on command, staying in place. Let's see what else is here. Accepting a friendly stranger. So a stranger should be able to come to your dog and pet them, look in their ears.
Yeah, I've got a couple that are very shy of strangers.
The walk at Mount Vernon yesterday was a wonderful experience. And little Mika, who was a 9-week-old puppy, just, great. And Great Danes and every other kind of dog and every kind of person and got all kinds of, it was a great experience for all of them, yeah.
All right, appearance and
Strangers.
grooming. The evaluator should be able to brush your dog, touch them all over their bodies, and they should be okay. Similar to show rink stuff. Out for a walk, that's when you're out with your dog, and maybe there are a few dogs that are out and about, and everybody's just walking, left turns, right turns, going every which way, and your dogs aren't trying to jump on each other and, be crazy. Be normal. All right. So there's another one, loose leash walking. And that's just demonstrating that you have some control over your dog, that your dog will walk nicely next to you, and you might make some left turns and right turns and sits, same type of thing. So that's pretty much it. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, and it's all listed right here.
What age do you recommend obviously we can start working on all of this at 4 months, but what age is the best age to really be serious about the class and then the test?
Well, the sooner you start, the better.
Okay.
With our private training, I started 8 weeks.
Okay.
And with the group classes, their dogs are 3 months. Our
Okay.
classes are in Vienna at pro fee. And if anybody's interested in a Manners 2 class, I brought a paper, and I'm going to leave it here if you would like to just let me know that you're interested. And Jan can give me this paper. Our classes are small, 5 dogs maximum, because I want to be sure that everybody gets lots of attention and love.
Can you mention too the pros and cons of these little puppy socialization things at the PetSmarts and things like that, where they're with all these dogs and are left there for part of the day and stuff like that?
Oh, like a doggy daycare?
Yeah,
type of
doggy
thing?
daycare kind of thing.
Well, dogs learn good things from each other, but they also learn bad things from each other. So it just depends on the environment and the way it's set up and the people that are there. So if you're going to do something like that, I would just go first and ask them if you can observe a little bit. And if they won't let you go wherever the rooms are to see the dogs, or if there's not a camera or somewhere way that you can watch, go and do it. And you might ask them what their rules are, like what's the ratio of handlers or people to dogs. You know, are there 20 dogs in a room with one person? That's not so good. You know,
We've done the puppy classes at PetSmart, and we're very pleased with
Good,
them.
good. If anybody's interested in any of our classes, I have some brochures here, if you'd like to take one, and also
We're far enough
some
out
of our
that's-
cards.
That's about all we had available at the
And if
time.
you have any left, you can just bring it
Right,
back to
I
me,
will.
please.
Yeah, take that.
Okay. We have basic classes Monday evenings, also on weekends, sometimes Wednesday mornings, and then our Manners 2 classes. I have one that I'd like to start. If there are 4 people that want to do it, I'd be happy to start a class Friday, July 12th at 6:30 in the evening. But I'll leave that paper here in case anybody wants to think about that.
And you can go online too, because I know people live all over Maryland and so on, at the AKC website and so on, and they have the Puppy Star program and so on, and they'll have, you know, I mean, and you see a million places around too that will tell you who does the Puppy Star program, and that's kind of the introduction, you know, and then you go on up into the Manners or whatever you see. But I don't know, the sooner they start learning, the better off, and they can learn at those ages. That's not a problem.
They definitely can. In our classes with the puppies, everybody brings dog beds or pads or mats, and we start out right away with the settle thing. So it's teaching the puppies to be calm around other dogs and other activities. Okay?
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
I will go ahead.